to be their real selves anyway. It's not like they let you in and then all of a sudden become Young Drivers of Canada instructor or something. Instead, you see them at their best or their worst. And that too gave me further inspiration for some of the things that you might find in the book. Who has gotten a flat tire? Well, we're on the questions here. In all the miles of driving I've done in the last 10 years, I've never gotten a flat tire. I'll probably get one tomorrow now that I've said this. Not only have I not gotten one, but I've also not gotten one at night. Somehow that struck me in my perverse way of thinking as being a very funny idea, that somebody could get a flat tire at night and not have a flashlight. So I thought to take advantage of that, I would cartoon a little bit of a sequential joke here of perhaps a bit of a guide. Maybe people could read it in advance and be prepared so that if they've memorized it and they get a flat in the dark, they would know how to grope around and find things that they need in order to change their tire and keep going. And there are no guarantees that it'll work though, so don't come knocking on my door. As well, flat out. You'll see here, this is something which for me summarizes, epitomizes the nature of a lot of drivers out there. The hero, I would call him. Usually it's a him. I don't like generalizing, but there seems to be some sort of a male aggression that often comes out when somebody climbs behind a steering wheel. And I've been guilty of it myself, I admit it. You want to really hit the gas and make an impression. I don't know on who, but often it feels good. And why, I don't know. It's very primal, something that I can't explain. But throughout it all, there is something about the social irresponsibility of it, which I thought could be rather funny if it was treated in, again, a slapstick way where no harm came to anyone, except in this case the person's dry cleaning, which you find, having been run over on the street, is not really wearable. But that's something that I think is definitely a problem. We should be maybe making wider streets or something for people like that. Have a special lane maybe. That could really be a good one for suicidal maniacs or something. Here's an opportunity for folks who might want to get a little bit beyond what the education books have for driving. I've offered a few suggestions here. One of the best, I suppose, most useful would be here, where you don't often see these in the manuals, where you've just run over your neighbor and her dog when you're backing out of your driveway. And it gives you a few options. You could sound your horn and try it again, or else perhaps drive away and hope they'll be gone when you come back. A few other things there too. This could also, again, I understand it might promote social irresponsibility, and I hope people really take it in the right stride, and I don't suggest backing over your neighbor twice. So it would probably be best just to drive away and hope they are gone when you get back. I don't know. Another thing too would be the Sunday driver. Now, these folks, although I've illustrated them of one stereotypical nature here, I think they come about of all ages and sexes, all sexes, and they are some type of character to really be dealt with. I don't know how you can. Tolerance would really be a good one, but I find myself, I don't know about many other folks, but I find I'm not always that tolerant. And this really let me get off a bit of steam by just simply drawing it. It was a bit of a cathartic experience to be able to draw attention, if you'll excuse the pun, I'm sorry, and give me a chance to draw attention to people like this, see them for who they could be, and really know that if we had to get anywhere quicker, then we should have left maybe a minute or two earlier instead of really ramming down these slowpokes' rear ends. Now the bus driver, here's one. It holds a special place in my heart. Ironically, I've done a book on driving, but I've gone through a long phase where I haven't had a car, mostly because I've been too cheap. and I've ended up taking the bus fairly often when I haven't been hitchhiking. Some of the scenes that I've come upon as a passenger in a bus have really been rather theatrical. This one in particular, you'll notice, is the number 211 from Montreal. If you can get in close enough on that, I'm not sure. That is the express bus to get from the West Island into the downtown. Those drivers have an incredible spice for life. It's really quite amazing. They really make opportunities for themselves, you could say. And being on one of those in the morning is better than a coffee and Danish for waking people up. Let me tell you, I recommend that. If ever you haven't had the chance, this is the one type of bus to ride, is the Montreal Express buses. Really quite a thrill. I have found that my previous background with drawing and painting made it a smooth transition to get into cartooning. The principles are all the same for being expressive. I found it quite a challenge, mind you, to be able to relax enough with it, because it's still a relatively new form of medium for me to work in. Having a rigid pen tip to do the cartoons with, it certainly was something that made me really appreciate the good quality cartoons that you see out there by Schulz and Larson, people like that, who've got a real life in their cartoons. And so this is something that has opened me up quite a bit to a whole new world. It's making me wish that I could be several of me, so that one of me could concentrate just on cartooning and the production of books, and then another one says, great, the writing part of this was really fun. It'd be great to be a half-decent writer and spend a lifetime working at that, because heaven knows it takes a lot of work. And then painting too, being able to spend time just in one form of painting, let alone all of the others. A fellow like Picasso, he was terribly busy. I mean, everybody realizes that. They appreciate it for that too, because of the prolificness allows him to really be able to experience all sorts of self-expression. And yet, here we are, we're all just single individuals, and it's a case of trying to juggle, balance out your life. It sounds as though I'm lecturing kids here or something, telling them what to do, but definitely it's important, I think, to really go with what feels good, what comes natural and comes easily. I'm not saying this comes naturally for me, and but it's worth working for. The painting behind me is one of my favorites because it expresses my love and interest in birds. It was a chance to show how my imagination followed the bird through where I couldn't see it, through the brick wall literally, in its flight, so that I could appreciate it at its birdly best. To put a bird in, I think, would sort of make it too finite or too well defined. I wanted it to be more the nature of the flight than the flying machine itself. I wanted it to capture the patterns and the arcs that the birds take when they fly. This painting here is not unlike some famous ones, although it's not as good as them, but it has got another painting underneath it. I had begun this as a dark, brooding dream scene, and it was a hallway looking at it down its lengthwise perspective. And as luck would have it, at that stage of my life, as I was doing that painting and having troubles with it, it wasn't coming out the way I wanted, I ended up falling in love. And that was a great opportunity, but it further ruined the painting because I wasn't feeling any dark, brooding thoughts at all. I was really quite excited. And so in getting into the whole artistic experience, figured I'd visually walk down the hall and turn and face the window that I had from the side perspective originally, and take a look out and let the sunlight come in and wash my life. It's really sounding sentimental, but what the heck, so this is it, and I'm really quite happy with the effect that I got from it.